Hello, everybody. Welcome to module 4.4, right? So we're going to be talking about how do we use the Spyder IDE. So as you know, Spyder is one of those applications that we have on our Open On Demand, right, and web portal. So you can go ahead and click on that and launch this app. So once it is launched, this is how it looks. Okay, so this is what you land on, and then we can see that there's a lot of difference between this and Jupyter Notebooks if you watch the 4.2 video. Okay, so Jupyter Notebooks is meant to combine stuff. This is meant to be a Python developing environment. Okay, so it's made for Python usage. So on this side, you will see that it gives you a default file. I'm going to write similar, the same code that we wrote on the other one, just so we can see how it looks. B equals 4, and then C equals A plus B. Just writing this so we have some code running and it's not just us talking here, okay? So if I were to, and then to run this code, you click on run upstairs, right? Run the file. Now, where does the running happen? It happens on the console. Okay, so here it says run file, it's running which file, and what is the working directory for that file, and it gives you the answer output right here below. We see that 7 there from 3 plus 4. Okay, so these are the main two components. The scripts we're writing on the console, right, that we're going to interact with to either do installs or to move stuff around in terms of directories, move files, copy files, or go ahead and produce our output and whatever we need to do. Okay, so these two things work together. Now here you have the tutorial that comes with Spyder, so you can go ahead and go through that. Particularly the debugging will be very interesting for those of you that are working with real development, right? There's a couple debugging functionalities that are unique to Spyder. Um, and we can see, for example, it talks to you about line by line protocols. So that means the code will go pop, pop. So it's this code right here. If you click this one, it will run that line that you're on, right? If this debugs the entire file, this will step into the function. If you have done functions in Python, you understand what this is of the current line. And this means that it will run until that function is completed and it returns, okay? So for those that don't know, don't worry about it. It just means that you have a lot more flexibility in finding where the code is wrong. For big codes, Spyder may be indispensable, okay? Or for codes that have a lot of moving parts, okay? And you're working with multiple files and you're calling functions from here and there. This is where you want to develop stuff, okay? And there's a lot more here to do. So you obviously we have the runs, we have the run the current cell. If you're creating cells there. Then we have the run the selection or the current line. So I can say run just these two, right? And that is run the selection. And then, as I said, run the line by line. And there's more on here, right? But it also talks you about how to document your code and how can we add that into our functions. And then, in addition to all the documentation and all the good stuff with particularly the debugging, I'm gonna say the greatest part of this is debugging. There's additional stuff in here. So you have the debug cell, step into step return, and then you can select how to behave with libraries. If you have done Python libraries before, it's a great place here. The different ways to run some of them are integrated into buttons and some of them are additional, right? We can work a lot with files right here, right? So open, close, revert the file to previous status. So the same way that Jupyter does that like checkpoint thing, similar here. Okay, then create specific files where you want to host those files together. So for organization purposes, also indispensable. And then just different tools that come with it, particularly the Kite completion engine, the Python Path Manager. Okay, so I would say if you think you're competent in Python, you think, oh, I've worked on Python for a while, I need to work bigger projects in Python, boom. This is where to do your work. And if you want to do any parallel Python, having it on our systems is great, right? If you know how to use the libraries of multiprocessing, you know how to use joblib, then this is the place to do it because you can actually use the cores that are already here to run your scripts. Okay. Yeah, and that's all for Spyder. That was brief and easy, but there's additional documentation for Spyder, not only on our docs, but in the general Spyder docs. So if you have additional questions for debugging or how to run by line or other concerns, then please go ahead and read those. And if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. It's just to give you a brief introduction into how it looks, how it opens up on our systems, and what can you do with it. Yeah.